Today's fantasy football almost daily is brought to you by the NFFC. The final week of drafts are right now. If you want to get in the RotoWire Online Championship at playnffc.com. It's the 17th year of the RotoWire Online Championship, making it the longest running high stakes national championship at a $350 buy-in. Each team is 12 leagues. They draft 20 rounds, with the top two in each league getting paid and an overall prize pool with a grand prize of $250,000. Find out more about the RotoWire Online Championship and more high-stakes fantasy football contests at playnffc.com. We're also brought to you by Fanball. Are you tired of battling the sharks and the pros on the big sites? That's why we built Fanball. At Fanball, we build contests for real players, not algorithms. Say goodbye to the mass entry grinders and embrace the sweat with a shot at a payout, because daily fantasy sports shouldn't feel like a losing battle. Fanball.com is all set with a full slate of week one NFL contests, including the Peacock, who pays out $1,000 to the top player. Check out the lobby right now at fanball.com, or go check out the new Fanball mobile app where we have Fanball winners contests ready to go in week one. Winners contest, super easy. Who will score the most fantasy points between Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Bo Nix? That's all you need to do. Pick the winners out of those three. Get all your picks right. You win a share of the prize pool. And with real-time ownership percentages available on all the winners' games, you can uncover that diamond in the rough without the guesswork. It's available to you on the Fanball mobile app. And if you use the promo code FFAD for Fantasy Football Almost Daily, we'll give you a $20 deposit match when you sign up. Whew, that was a lot of advertisements right there. So I think I need a little musical break. Let's hear Less Than Jake. How about that? Yeah.
From the Sports Hub Games Network, this is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your host, Matt Harrison.
With me today, a favorite of fantasy football almost daily in the yesteryears of the world, a guru of all things Fanball and a Packer fan who may or may not be legally changing his name to Micah. It's Trevor Jones. Hey, Trevor.
Matt, good to be with you. I think it's been 6 years since you and I were last on a podcast together.
I think it's been 6 years
couple
since
things have changed.
Almost Daily was going.
A couple things have changed in the world since then, but fantasy football is still here, so let's get into it.
It's still around for sure. Today, we're going to preview week one from a DFS perspective on the show. And while we generally use Fanball figures because, they are, part of our team here, most of the information can be used on any of the other salary cap sites. So don't turn away if you want some DFS action here. By the way, Fantasy Football Almost Daily, I'm pretty sure was the first salary cap DFS podcast back in the day. We were like the first. We were getting like just massive audiences for our DFS show with Christian Peterson and Brian Johnson and I. Just talking DraftKings lineups every week. And
yeah, I remember listening to those shows well before I was even an employee of the company, probably like 2013 maybe.
Yeah.
Because you guys had a league safe specific salary cap contest that I actually made some money in, and I was really excited, and you got my name mentioned on air, and it was very exciting for 23-year-old me back in the day.
So we're going to use the Fanball figures, but you can use it for everything. But before we do that, let's review some of the relevant NFL news items from around the league.
News team, assemble!
Whoa, we're going to go rapid fire on these guys today. Trevor, just give me a quick reaction to each of these. Jalen Coker of the Panthers out 4 to 6 weeks. Any Panthers wide receivers you have interest in outside of Tetaroa McMillan?
So my initial thought was absolutely not, right? And then I realized Hunter Renfrow was signed a couple of days ago by the Carolina Panthers. I guess he lives in the area and just decided this is a good idea. I wouldn't play him week one, I guess, but I like for Fanball or DFS, but I would keep an eye on him with Coker out for a while. I mean, he's probably going to be the slot player behind Tet and Xavier Legette, and the rest of their receivers are kind of zeros. So Did you see, by the way, Hunter Renfrow missed 10 calls from NFL teams because his daughter was watching Bluey and he didn't want to interrupt her.
10 calls?
I guess the NFL was just blowing him up, all sorts of teams, and he's like, "We got cartoons to watch." So,
oh, okay. I mean,
That's
Bluey is a very popular show in that age demo, I guess. I don't have kids that age anymore, so. All right, all of these guys looking probable for Week 1. That's come out in the last 24 hours. Matthew Stafford, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims, Jawan Jennings, and Najee Harris. Any surprises in there, Trevor? Any action items there?
Yeah, the only ones I kind of keep an eye on are Darnell Mooney, still day to day. It sounds like something maybe kind of a true 50-50 is whether he plays or not. Watch that, especially as it relates to Drake London. Matthew Stafford, let's be optimistic, but I don't know. He had to go into like the cryo chamber for a week, and he's like 37 years old.
Did they actually like Austin Powers freeze him for a week?
Well, did you see the giant like trailer they were using?
No.
The giant chrome trailer. Yeah, they wheeled this chrome like some sort of back thing trailer into the Rams facility like parking lot. He just kind of like went in there for a while for a few days. So just watch that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. And then Tyreek Hill, I know he's on track to play. It sounds like he's still pretty unhappy there. And that Dolphin situation feels really fragile to me. Do you remember, you're an Office guy, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an episode where Dwight becomes manager for a bit and he pre-fires Jim. I kind of think the Dolphins and Giants staffs and front offices might be pre-fired.
Ooh, really?
There's a lot of things could go really badly, I think, for both of those teams, and it's hard to see a ceiling outcome.
There's a lot of like positivity surrounding the Giants this year.
There is. It seems like maybe Jackson Dart just being like a fun goober is a lot of it, though. So let's see.
Famous in that quarterback room. Their backup quarterbacks should have a podcast.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Topic number 3. Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plain Dealer stated this week she thought that Quinshon Judkins may sign even this week and could possibly contribute in the opener. He's just a late round flyer for me. But Trevor, did you end up with Judkins on any of your fantasy rosters? And are you doing anything about this?
No, I didn't end up with him on any of my teams. I believe he's still unsigned, and it sounds like there's some issues with suspensions probably coming for him that would void guarantees, but he hasn't signed the contract yet, so they're kind of working through that just weird situation. Once he signs and plays, he's going to produce.
Until I sign. Can't suspend me until I sign.
I guess. I don't know where he's going to get the money to, play high-level football, but you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, I guess. But I will say, once he gets on the field, I think it's, we're going to see him produce. That running back room just isn't scary.
Yeah. And on Thursday, the Packers stole Micah Parsons from the Cowboys, but maybe he's damaged goods. He's dealing with a facet joint sprain in his back. And before he left Big D, the Cowboys staff gave him so many drugs, mostly anti-inflammatory stuff to help him recover. But Trevor, did your favorite NFL team just throw away 2 top 10 draft picks?
Interesting framing of the question. So it's funny. My biggest Packers friend was actually over. We were watching Thursday night college football last week. And so the news dropped like 2 hours before we were about to leave for the game. And you would have thought we won the Super Bowl, right? I mean, we're both a couple beers in and it's just screaming and like, really? I'm not getting trolled by a darn Schefter or somebody, right? And then especially once the details came out where it's like, oh, it wasn't like 3 or 4 first-round picks. That's pretty fun. So, fun moment, but no, I don't think the league's most conservative training staff signed off on a broken player, probably. And even if he misses the entire season, right? It's maybe that's pick 16 or something. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I thought we were a contender before this, and it's wheels up. I'm excited.
As a Viking fan, I don't like that move. So, I mean, if you can go on that alone, yeah,
that's fair enough.
All right, it's time to dig into week 1. It's here. We encourage you to go out and try Fanball, both on the web and the Fanball mobile app. There's different games on both, actually. Our salary cap games are web only right now, but coming very soon to the mobile app. And the mobile app houses the Fanball winners games. By the way, on winners, we've got a $1 NFL kickoff contest starting Thursday night. It includes both the Thursday and Friday contests, and $500 split between the entries who pick it all correctly. So if you want to dip your toes in the Fanball winners waters, there's that. There's also the Game Blazers free roll this week where you can enter up to 10 times for free. $100 prize pool in that one. But let's talk about some of our favorite and least favorite plays on the DFS slate this week, because it's DFS time. Look at that chicken go. All right. Week 1 Sunday slate. Unfortunately, it leaves out some pretty big, interesting offenses this week with Philly, Dallas, Kansas City, the Chargers, Vikings, and Bears all playing in the non-Sunday contest. So they're all out of this discussion for this week. But let's start, Trevor, and we're going to do this kind of by categories. Let's start with a player who's going to be in close to half of all the lineups that you make this week on Fanball.
So I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anyone who's kind of following the news. Emeka Egbuka is in line to start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan out.
Oh, no. I think we lost Trevor here for a moment. He's paused. He's ever so still. All right, I'll go with mine. Trevor, I lost you there for a minute. We had some technical difficulties, but we're gonna keep plugging on. You had Emeka Egbuka, and I have Baker Mayfield at 6,300 against Atlanta. Even if Tristan Wirfs doesn't play, and it doesn't look like he will, Mayfield faces the worst pass rush in the league according to Pro Football Focus, the team that allowed the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks last year. And Baker tossed 3 touchdown passes in both meetings with Atlanta last year. Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka all wheels up on that one. And Bucky Irving. Did you have any relevant Egbuka stats that you wanted to chime in there?
Yeah, the best one I had was that Atlanta led the league. They gave up 22 wide receiver touchdowns last year, which was number 1.
A lot of them against the Buccaneers too. So I think we're in line on our Bucks love this week. How about a player above 7,000 on Fanball? So it's an expensive guy that you would not put in any of your lineups.
Yeah, this feels almost like a funeral or something, but Christian McCaffrey. 7,400. He's now 29. And what we saw from him last year was really concerning. And I understand he was banged up and maybe not 100%. I don't know that guys with that many touches are getting fresher and healthier a year later.
Seattle could have almost a year off, though.
That is true. No, that's true. I think at least for week 1, it comes down to the 7,400 price tag. I'd rather just drop down a little bit for either Josh Jacobs, Bucky, or Chase Brown, who are all about $800 less than CMC this week.
I was kind of in the same neck of the woods as you. My pick was Ashton Genty at 7,300. And I love this player, but I don't want to spend Josh Allen or Christian McCaffrey money on a rookie in his first start. And frankly, I think McCaffrey's healthy, and it seems like 25 touches is almost guaranteed to him. So I'm probably going against you on that one and starting McCaffrey a little bit here.
This could look really stupid come Monday morning.
I feel like I could look pretty stupid because Genty's just rock solid, and I think the Raiders are going to give him the ball a lot. But he did make a ton of hay on yards after contact last year in college. And the Patriots were actually the top team in the league in yards after contact allowed last season. They tackled well once you got into that second level. So it's fine if I'm wrong here, but I think I'd rather go with a few sure things in week 1 and be wrong about Ashton Genty in week 1 and then feel bad about it later. For sure. All right. For quarterback picks, we decided to go with an expensive guy and a budget guy. And we didn't really put like salary parameters on this. So it's kind of just how you feel it out. But I'll go first on this one. My expensive pick was Lamar Jackson versus Buffalo. His last 2 matchups with Buffalo yielded really good results. He had 254 and 2 and another 40 yards on the ground in the playoffs last year. That's over 20 points. 156 and 2 with 54 yards on the ground plus a touchdown to go along with it in the previous meeting. That's getting close to 30 points. His floor just is super safe. And I how can you not like Lamar Jackson? Who do you got as your expensive guy?
Yeah, I right in the same ballpark, $200 less than Lamar. I went with Jaden Daniels for a lot of the same reasons, right? The floor is just incredible. In 13 of the 16 full games he played last year, he had 7 carries. You're not getting that out of anyone but maybe him and Lamar currently, Justin Fields when he's healthy. The Washington defense is still really, really bad. Like, I think this is going to be another shootout year where they need to score 25, 28 plus points a game because that defense is still really tough. And Jane Daniels just a little bit cheaper than Allen and Lamar on the main slate.
All right. For my budget pick, I have Tua at 5,700 versus Indy. And I don't ever feel great about putting Tua in my lineup because you're one hit you're one hit away from him not playing anymore. But he's upright right now, and that's a plus. Achane and Hill look good to go. And the Colts defense was absolutely terrible last year, and they didn't do enough to address it this year. 25th in pass rush, 23rd in wide receiver coverage, worst in tight end coverage, multiple touchdown passes allowed in 3 of their last 4 games down the stretch, when, by the way, they were trying to win the AFC South. They gave up a 4-touchdown game to Drew Lock and the New York Giants. Mason Rudolph had a multiple touchdown game. Bo Nix had a multiple touchdown game. Yikes.
That Drew Lock game was the reason that the Giants didn't get the number 1 pick, right? Or the number 2 pick, maybe, because they let Drew Lock go crazy. No, Tua is a great pick, especially, like you said, he's up right now, and that's daily fantasy. We need him to be healthy for 3 hours, right? It's not, I need him to be playing week 4. So just, I've got some Dolphins guys coming up later. That was a game I liked as well. So my cheap guy was, I think, the cheapest quarterback you can get on the site, Joe Flacco.
Oh, Flacco.
So it's not because I like Joe Flacco, right? But he's 5,100, so he's the cheapest. I think he's the cheapest quarterback on the slate. And you got to play 2 of them on Fanball, right? Well, you don't have to, but you should. So they're playing Cincinnati this week, whose defense is another, like, hold on to your hat. I don't know if you saw the second preseason game against Washington. Washington's second string defense was blowing their second string offense was blowing the first team defense for Cincy off the field. It's ugly. Their only moves to strengthen the defense were to fight with their best defensive player most of the season, and then tick off the star first-round pass rusher by, like, putting in new contract language. Flacco loves to throw the ball, right? Even if it's not great, he's going to throw it a lot. The offense is actually normally built. It's a real Kevin Stefanski offense, not a Deshaun Watson mutant. Let's piece some of what you do and some of what I do and mesh it into the worst offense in football. And then the Browns team total is actually over 3 touchdowns. And, like, who's running the ball? Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson. Like, at least on offense, you got Judy and Njoku. You have some talent. So I think Flacco's a good play at that price.
I have a spoiler alert. I have a Cleveland Brown coming up as one of my sneaky picks later in this episode. All right, let's move on to running back plays. I'll start off again. My expensive pick is Jahmyr Gibbs at 7,600 against your Green Bay Packers. I think that you would agree with me. Gibbs is awesome. And I think you would agree with me that the Packers just jettisoned their best run blocking player or their run stuffing player in the Micah Parsons trade. That was Kenny Clark. Their missed tackle rate was already in the bottom half last year, and they got off to a really slow start against the run last year. They allowed 5 different backs to top 100 total yards in the first 7 weeks. So plus I think with the new coordinator and some new offensive line pieces there in Detroit, I think they probably want to kind of keep it safe and put the ball in their best playmakers' hands to start in week 1.
Yeah, no, Gibbs is never a bad pick. The only thing that kind of gives me pause with him is just David Montgomery existing still, right?
He does.
So just Gibbs being that expensive is the only thing. But obviously he's always a great pick, and I've seen him do it to my team before. So, so yeah, my expensive guy. We kind of talked about that Colts Miami game. Jonathan Taylor at 7,000.
Oh,
so if the Colts want to keep their jobs, like Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard and these guys, they need to probably have the 2022 Giants season with Daniel Jones, right? Kind of we have the star running back, this time JT, not Saquon, and then we have Daniel Jones run the ball a lot and make like 3 throws a game. So lean on the star running back. In the last 5 games last year, like you said, when it was the Colts needed to win out kind of to like have a shot at the playoffs, JT saw over 29 touches a game. So this is a guy that they need to win. He's their best player on offense. and it's only a 1.5 point spread. So no matter kind of which way, a little under, a little over, and he's a 3-down passing game guy too sometimes. So I just like JT this week.
That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about him. I have a few JT shares in a few of my regular leagues, and I've been a little nervous about him, but I hope he gets off to a nice hot start. That would be fantastic. My budget pick, it's James Conner for me. He's at 6,000, which is the 17th most expensive running back. So while he's still at 6,000, I think that's still a budget guy as the 17th running back on the list. He gets almost all the touches, and they play the Saints, who tied last year for the most rushing touchdowns allowed to the running back, and they gave up the 6th most rushing yards. They were also 7th worst in the league in yards after contact allowed. The only drawback on James Conner, he might be sitting the entire fourth quarter because the Cardinals are up by 4 touchdowns.
I was going to say that, and I'm Trey Benson, I think, is kind of sneaky this year too. But I agree that I think we'll see Conner get the majority of the carries, at least while the game's in question.
You show me Trey Benson being sneaky, like when James Conner's not healthy. It feels like it's still James Conner's team.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I feel like James Conner, he's just sort of like old and unexciting, but like also constantly productive.
Everybody's been wanting to write off that guy because he's got a boring name. He's kind of old. He was injured for 2 years, like at the beginning of his career. He's had the best metrics of his career last year as a 28 or 29-year-old back. So he's found the fountain of youth. Who's your budget guy, Trevor?
Apparently, speaking of youth, and a player I only recently became aware of, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
Oh, Bill!
At $4,300. So what's this Bill think? His name's not actually Bill, but he wants to be called Bill?
No, he had a weird haircut, I guess, when he was a kid, and it looked like the cartoon Little Bill, which I'm not really familiar with. So everybody started calling him Little Bill, and he just liked it and was like, yeah, I'm going to be Bill now.
Okay. I got to respect it. If you got the confidence to change your own name midstream, that says something, I guess.
That's at least what I have heard. That could be wrong. It totally.
That's worth probably like 1.5 points in the projections, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Washington football team recently traded away Brian Robinson, obviously, because this Ja'Cory Bill character was so good. The only guy ahead of him technically on the depth chart right now is Austin Eckler, who's a reasonable sort of pass game specialist, but he's a 30-year-old player that's not explosive. It's one of these where he's probably going to get like 10 to 12 touches, and at 4,300, there's not really anyone else in that range that you could semi-confidently say is going to get that work. So that's about as cheap as I'd realistically go on Fanball.
I'm gonna go with a bonus guy here for you. Same team, Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez is like sneaky good. Charch has been tweeting a bunch of the metrics on Chris Rodriguez, where like he only had like 40 or 50 touches last year, but his 40 or 50 touches, like he was like the second best running back in the league when he had those touches.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's sneaky good, and he's only 3,500 on Fanball. And if you believe that a veteran guy might get a few extra looks in week 1 over Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who I know everybody's wild about, Chris Rodriguez might be just kind of a sneaky out of nowhere guy.
I like that, actually. And whoever plays, they're just playing with Jaden Daniels helps you so much in the run game, right? You're just going to be more productive as a running back with that guy taking snaps.
It's plausible that it's just a 3-headed monster there, and Austin Eckler gets 10 touches and Bill gets 8 touches and Rodriguez gets like 6 or 7. So
for sure. Yeah, sometimes week 1 you got to embrace the unknown a little bit though.
Yeah, a little bit. Let's go to the wide receiver position, and this guy's not an unknown. My expensive guy is Nico Collins, who's 7,200. He's at the Rams. Nico might see the highest share of targets of any wide receiver in the league this year. And his matchups against Darius Williams, who ranked 78th in coverage by Pro Football Focus, and Akello Witherspoon, who ranked 58th, look pretty good to fantastic. The Rams allowed a sneaky 20 touchdowns to the wide receiver position last year, and that was the 4th worst mark in the league. Nico Collins is where the bread is buttered for the Texans. They're not going to have Joe Mixon in this game. It's going to be CJ Stroud to Nico Collins all day long.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Actually, it's funny. The guy I'm going with, Drake London, has the same could lead the league in target share,
Yeah.
but with him. Obviously, we talked about Darnell Mooney. That'll be important to monitor whether he's active for game day. Kind of with or without him, I think Drake London at 6,500 is a great play. The best stat I found, and I'm sure this has been repeated everywhere probably, but in the 3 Michael Penix starts at the end of the season last year, Drake London got 39 targets. And I understand one of these games was an 18 target kind of, but the Drake London's been a good player, and when he's had quarterbacks who aren't like Desmond Ridder and cooked Kirk Cousins, he's a monster. So, the other guys in the 3 receiver set would be Ray McLeod and maybe Kaderil Hodge. Those are zeros. Like, those are not, like Drake London could get 12 to 15 targets in this game. Again,
Kyle Pitts coming out of nowhere.
I don't hate it because I have the candle lit for him a little bit, but I'm a little more willing to bet on the surefire Drake London.
I'm a little nervous on the Falcons side, losing Caleb McGarry last week. He's the blindside protector. While he's a right tackle, he's definitely the blindside protector. And it looks like my camera is going wild right now. I don't know if it's showing that way for you, Trevor.
Yeah, you're getting a little rainbowy.
I am. It's real good. It's real good. We'll keep going for the audio podcast though. I'm a little nervous on McGarry though. Just as the blindside protector to the left-handed Penix, like that's a big loss right at the beginning of the season there. So
they lost their swing tackle as well, so they're on right tackle number 3 already.
Perfect. My budget pick at the wide receiver position is Cortland Sutton, who's 5,900 against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans were actually one of the best defenses against wide receivers last year, but much of that was because they were so easy to run on, and they were down by a ton all year. So passing wasn't really an issue that offenses needed to go to against Tennessee. But it's this year now, I have reason to believe, and Sutton looks like he's going to match up with L'Jarius Sneed most often, and L'Jarius Sneed was not good last year. 212th out of 220 total corners in Pro Football Focus coverage grade.
I didn't know there were 200 corners in the league.
222. Wow.
Oh, man.
And by the way, he's Bo Nix's favorite target. So Cortland Sutton, I'll fire him up in a few lineups this week.
That's a good one. Beyond L'Jarius Sneed being bad, he's also like injured. He's just that whatever the knee injury was after the Chiefs kind of just sapped a lot of his athleticism.
Yeah,
that's a good pick. So I actually went with Josh Downs, which seems kind of crazy at 4,400. He's actually a quality player. He just kind of hurt a lot. And again, that Daniel Dimes 2022 season, right? That was a lot of like check downs to Darren Waller and just like weird
Wan'Dale Robinson and
right. And so that's kind of the Josh Downs role in this offense is like Daniel Dimes isn't throwing it downfield, right? Alec Pierce isn't going to get a bunch of targets downfield. It's going to be a lot of probably Michael Pittman, Warren, and Josh Downs. Another one I'll throw out there too, Ricky Pearsall at 4,300.
Mm-hmm.
First round talent coming off kind of that weird rookie year where he got shot, injured. With Brandon Ayuk still not ready to go for the season, it's him and Juwan Jennings and 2 receiver stuff in a Shanahan offense. That's pretty exciting too.
That's worth it for sure. I like that you called him Daniel Dimes. It's
Danny, I don't know. If he's like a fun player, he can be Danny Dimes. He's just Daniel now, I think.
All right. On the tight end side, my expensive player was George Kittle, 6,000 versus Seattle. Half of the touchdowns Seattle allowed to the tight end last year were to George Kittle. They only allowed 4 last year, but 2 of them were to George Kittle in one game. In fact, in the last 6 games against Seattle, Kittle has scored 2 touchdowns in 3 of those games. He scored 1 touchdown in 1 and was held out of the end zone in only 2 contests. So I have reason to believe he's more likely to score twice than to not score in this game. And like you said, kind of with Pearsall, there's a lot of question marks surrounding the wide receiver room right now. Juwan Jennings just coming back from an injury and he's a little unhappy. Kittle's probably in line for a pretty high volume day. I think he's probably going to be Brock Purdy's favorite pass catcher, at least in the beginning of the season. So I like Kittle at $6,000.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I went with Brock Bowers, and the thing that Brock Bowers, Kittle, and McBride, specifically those 3 have in common And again, on daily fantasy, we're trying to win first place, right? So let's go for some ceiling outcomes. Those are the only guys that have 30-point tight end output at the position. So I went with Bowers at 6,700. He's a guy that he's probably no tight end in the league is a bigger focal point to their offense than he is. And now he gets a real quarterback, right? There's no more AOC. Desmond Ridder, I think, started or played a game last year. Like actual zeros, right? And Geno might be like the 15th best quarterback in the league. Combine that with Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll, just bringing a sense of like competence to this organization, right? A head coach who's actually coached before, things like that. And the Patriots defense isn't some great unit, right? I know they added Milton Williams and a couple pieces, but they were bad last year. And I don't think it's a scary matchup week 1 for Bowers.
My budget pick, I think you're going to like this. I think he's got maybe that hockey stick tendency that he can hit these numbers.
It's not going to be Tucker Kraft, is it?
No. It's going to be David Njoku, 4,700 versus Cincinnati. So when last Njoku and Flacco played together, here's Njoku's final stat lines from the final 4 weeks. Actually, I'll go with the final 4 weeks of the regular season and their wild card game because Flacco brought him to the playoffs that year. 6 for 91 and 2 scores, 10 for 104 and a touchdown, 6 for 44 and a touchdown, 6 for 134, and 7 for 93. Joe Flacco just looked at David Njoku and was like, "You're my boy, Blue. I'm going to hit you over and over and over again." By the way, since he allowed the most receptions and yards to tight ends last year, and the second most touchdowns, including one to Njoku, and his lines against Cincy last year with the junk they had at quarterback, 10 for 76 in one and 8 for 66. David Njoku has the ability, at least this week, to maybe be the number 1 tight end in football.
Okay. I'm going to throw away my pick because that's the pick, I think. Yeah, geez. The other thing I love about David Njoku, and this is not a fantasy, this is no statistical, analysis. When he, burned his face off 2-3 years ago for some reason. Like I forget how or why he did this.
Like
Nicolas he came
to John Travolta.
He still has the face.
Oh.
But there's just like a lot of like raps. Maybe he might have even had an eye patch or something, but he played like a week later. It's just like, wow, this guy just loves football, man. But anyways, I will throw out my my tight end play here. Chig Okonkwo at 3,100. He's a guy that's, kind of had little flashes here and there with some really bad offenses the last couple of years. Finally gets a real quarterback, right? Whatever you think of Cam Ward, he's better than Will Levis.
He looks at least competent.
Yes. We're not going to see any Cam Ward hands on the head. I can't believe I just threw that ball plays. And I think actually kind of the angle here is garbage time. Denver at home in September is just a buzzsaw. All time, the Denver Broncos are 83, 34, and 2 in the month of September at home.
Wow.
It's just one of those where it's, the air, it's just too clean and beautiful, and the other teams can't handle so much oxygen. Or is it the opposite? That's right.
I think it's the opposite. The lack of oxygen.
Right. So I actually think, I can see like the last 2 drives where Chig gets up like 6 for 40 just on, hey, we're doing 2 touchdowns. Cam, go out there and huck it, buddy.
Yeah. I like it. Denver could be resting some of their starters on defense too. All right. How about we have a couple more little categories here. A rookie that you'd start in a week 1 DFS contest. Because normally I don't start rookies in week 1. But who's one that you'd start?
I'll give you 2 that I'm actually really excited about. First one, full homer, Matthew Golden. He has a skill set that no other Packer has, the ability to beat man coverage. I think there's a chance he's the number 1 target.
Wait a minute.
Quickly.
The Packers don't have another wide receiver who can beat man coverage?
No, that's like literally that's why we drafted Matthew Golden, because he's like can separate and the other guys need to be schemed up, basically. So,
wow.
I kind of think he's like early career Steph Diggs, where it's kind of the 5'11", 6-foot package that feels like a bigger receiver because of how he plays and the hands are really good. And then the other guy would be Ted McMillan. He's immediately.
Ooh, that's my guy.
Oh, well then I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I mean, with Coker out and Thielen shipped off to Minnesota, I think he's in line for a huge target share in his debut. Jags are a super soft landing spot too. Monteric Brown and Tyson Campbell, both well below average corners last year. And I don't know how they're going to deploy Travis Hunter and on how many plays, at least how many plays defensively, or if he's just like the slot corner, or if he's on McMillan at all. Last year, the Jags allowed the third most fantasy points to wide receivers. It seems like McMillan is probably the guy if they felt confident enough to send Adam Thielen back to Minnesota. So I like that. What did you have to add to that?
Just the only things I'd add are top 10 receiver picks have an incredibly strong history, like top 10 in the NFL draft. You know, honestly, Drake London's a good comparison for Ted, where it's just that big ball winning X who's going to get like 10 targets a game.
Yeah. All right. Final players that we like, a deep sleeper. And I guess I kind of gave one in Chris Rodriguez, but I got another one, but let's hear your deep sleeper.
Okay. So this is like as deep as it gets. This is like unexplored ocean depths level of deep. Isaac Tesla.
Oh, there you go.
3,100 for the Detroit Lions. Not a great time to have the last name, but the kid has been on fire. So the Lions traded 2 third-round picks to get him, and it was a big reach at the time, according to the consensus big board or whatever. They just traded Tim Patrick, who was holding down that number 3, blocking kind of role behind Amon-Ra Jameson. And this kid's like a freak athlete. 6'4", 220, runs a 4.4. Player Profiler has him as the second most athletic receiver in the class. The Lions kind of deserve the benefit of the doubt with their draft classes, right? I mean, they've kind of hit on some weird guys, and we thought Laporta and Gibbs were overdrafted. It's like, well, nobody's saying that now.
Yeah,
week 1 might be a tough start, but there's some juice there. I mean, they really love this kid, so just keep an eye on Isaac Tesla for Detroit.
All right, my deep sleeper. Yours was a rookie. Mine is a guy who sat out last year because we thought he retired and came back. It's Darren Waller, 3,300 at Indy. So they don't even know if he's going to play this week. But if he's going to play, all systems go. When in coverage, Indy's secondary was the worst in the league at covering the tight end, according to Pro Football Focus. 31st when they put a corner on a tight end, and dead last when they put a safety on a tight end. And Miami plays 11 personnel, 39% of their plays. That's their biggest personnel grouping. So that's one running back and one tight end. When they do that, they spread out the field with those 3 wide receivers and add more of those bad secondary players from the Colts into the lineup. So I think Waller's just kind of a real sneaky play. If you have to go real down and dirty, you're playing high stars and scrubs kind of a lineup, and you need a guy to play in that wide receiver / tight end position on Fanball, and you don't got much money left, I kind of like Darren Waller at 3,300 if he's healthy.
I can picture him. I can just so easily picture him in the Jonnu Smith role from last year, right? Catch little 5-6 yard dump offs, and he's got enough juice to make him, 10-yard gains. I like that.
Yeah. And he can do 3 or 4 of them. Tua's healthy. Let's go. Did you have an overall strategy? And I should mention on Fanball, Fanball is super flex. So you can start 2 quarterbacks. There's also another flex position. And our third wide receiver position is a wide receiver tight end slot. So there's actually a way that you could play 4 tight ends, or you could play up to 6 wide receivers if you wanted to. But it gives you some flexibility, no pun intended, to really have like some differentiating lineups. Is there any like positional strategy you're looking at with Fanball this week, or you staying pretty tight with do my super flex and try to find a second running back or wide receiver in the flex spot?
Yeah, I generally probably 95% of the time at least stick to the 2 quarterbacks in those roles. This week, I think there's so much good receiver value under like 5,300, right? We've already talked about Tet, Matthew Golden's in that range, Pearsall, like Buka, Downs. I think there's enough of those guys where you don't need to like really dip down more than 1 3K player. So I think you can kind of fit, most of the guys you want in there and feel pretty good overall.
Okay. That's pretty sweet. We're going to shift gears a little bit here. We got a game on Fanball called the 5x5. And you've probably seen this on social media before, like build the best lineup all time with $15. And there's some $5 plays and $4 plays and 3 and 2 and 1. Well, we just made that game on Fanball a couple of years ago and we play it out. So I'm going to shift over to the screen where we have our Sunday 5x5 options. And this week in the 5x5 contest, we only put 3 games in the player pool, and they're good games. It's Ravens Bills, which is the night game, Lions Packers, and Rams Texans, which are both late afternoon games. They might be the 3 highest scoring games on the slate this week, just from an offensive standpoint. And like I said, in the 5x5, you build a 5-player lineup. There's no positional requirements. You can see up there, there's $5 players and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. So you can build the best 5-player lineup with $15 in cap space. Here's this week's player pool. Trevor, were there any guys who really stuck out to you in this one?
Yeah, when I'm playing the 5x5, a lot of times my strategy is kind of find like the 2 guys that I'm like, all right, these are who I'm building the lineup around, and then we'll kind of fit the rest of the pieces around him.
Mm-hmm.
So Josh Jacobs and James Cook, I think, those are guys that are in line for probably close to 20 20 touches each.
Yeah,
like you said, in high scoring matchups. So that's tough to turn down. Those that's Josh Jacobs is what, a 7K Fanball player, and he's now a $3 5x5 player.
Kyron Williams is there too.
Yeah, the Rams offensive line versus that Houston front is a little scary, but you're right. I mean, that's a workhorse back too.
So 3 workhorse backs at the $3 range. And generally, I mean, if I'm building a 5x5 lineup, I like to try to get 2 quarterbacks. Stroud and Jordan Love are both in the $4 range. Of course, you have Goff, Lamar, and Allen up in the 5. And then Matthew Stafford is your $3 quarterback in this one. But I mean, you just highlighted how you like Matthew Golden. He's down in the $1 bargain bin down there. Zay Flowers is a $2 player. There's some value here.
There is. I think if I was going to go quarterbacks, I would just go double Lamar and Josh and hope that they, the game goes to 50 or 60 points. It's just Jordan Love and Stroud having, not as mobile as those first 2 guys.
So if you go Lamar and Josh, that's $10. So you can essentially do one of those $3 players then, and you'd have to go $2 players. So would you go Lamar, Josh Allen, and you pick your boy Josh Jacobs and Matthew Golden and just roll the dice on a Mark Andrews or something like that?
I think that's exactly what I would do. Yep.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, it'd either be Mark Andrews or Rashad Bateman. I wouldn't love Jaden Reed's tough. I don't know. That's tough. I'd rather take a shot on Golden at $1 receiver.
There's something to be said for the all $3 lineup this week.
That's not bad either, because you stack the Rams there. Yeah, that's interesting.
You get triple Rams plus Josh Jacobs and James Cook. And I mean, you're only throwing one quarterback in the mix, but you could easily swap out, if you're not a James Cook believer against the tough Baltimore front 7, you could swap in, get Jordan Love in there, and then add a David Montgomery or a Sam Laporta into that kind of lineup as well. A lot of ways to kind of play around with that Fanball 5x5, and it's available now. You can play it for $5 this week over on fanball.com. Trevor, anything that you have coming up besides NFL Sunday just kicking off that you want to mention?
The only thing I'd mention, I don't think we mentioned off the top, there's an NFFC main event ticket contest on Fanball. So it's a $50 entry, 50-man contest. And first place gets I believe it's $1,800 value ticket to the NFFC main event, which is their big high stakes league.
It's like
it's a very cool contest.
$1,800 ticket, you said?
18, I believe now. Yes.
Yeah, it's a big one. So that one always sells out. It's our first contest to sell out every week, and it's limited to 50 players. I believe when I just peeked at it, it was at like 29 or 30.
Yeah, so and it's usually full by about Friday night.
Yeah, if you want to get involved in that one, I'd reserve your spot right now. Pardon me. Anyway, Trevor, thank you for joining today. I have to read another little ad here, and it's about Game Blazers. Before we go, I wanted to mention them, and Game Blazers kind of combines a lot of elements of DFS with trading card collecting. There's free games for cash prizes, and that's what you get every week of the NFL season with Game Blazers, pardon me, with a guaranteed season-long prize pool of $750,000. and it's more than double last year's guaranteed total. Every week you can enter free contests. I believe the prize pool this week is around $37,000, and they're free contests to enter. You can hop in. You can get a couple of Game Blazers packs for free if you just pop in and open an account, and then you'll have enough players to build a little lineup. And maybe you're going to want to buy a couple more packs and get a few other things. And if you do, and use promo code FFAD for a first-time Game Blazers deposit bonus, we'll match it up to $100. So if you really want to buy some packs, you can get in and you can build your ultimate fantasy team with Game Blazers. So, Trevor, I got to get in a Game Blazers contest this weekend with you and try this out, because
I love football. I love cards. Let's do it.
This is all the things. This is all the things. All right. Thank you, Trevor, for joining us. This was Fantasy Football Almost Daily, and we'll see you tomorrow, maybe.